Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan, and it's a cold morning here in the Philadelphia area, stirring my coffee with chopsticks, using the vortex method, the only way to truly optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. Yum. Before we start the show today, something came to mind about identity. And I've been divorced for many years. But I remember the first couple years after my marriage split up. And this is super important for those that have gone through breakups or divorce, or even widowhood of some type, whether you're a man or a woman. I used to go to a lot of networking groups, which means after work you go to a group, like a meetup group or something like that. You bring your business cards and you share things and get business and share ideas in various groups. And I went to an entrepreneur meetup group. And we would go, there was maybe 20 or 30 people in the group, and we would go around and introduce ourselves. There was two things that just I take away from this group. First thing was, when you're in a group setting, you introduce yourself with your name, what you do, you make it brief, get to the point. Some people call it an elevator speech. I would say, my name is George Bruno. I am in the hair industry. I'm in the business of optimizing people's appearance to help them be more effective in life. Again, my name is George Bruno. And I learned to say my name twice in networking, not just once, twice. Super important. If people don't remember your name, it's not their fault. You can't blame their memory, it's your fault. You need to take full responsibility for people knowing who you are and what you do, period. If you ramble on and on and on, they're not going to remember anything. So can you say what you do in just a sentence or two, and then say your name? That's the first of two things. When you are saying your name, my name is George Bruno, not George Bruno. When I say George Bruno, it sounds like one word, doesn't it? George Bruno. California, New York. Sounds like one word. My name is two words. The first name is George. The second name is Bruno. My name is George Bruno. When you introduce yourself to people, take a pause, even the slightest pause in between your first and your last name. Is your name Tom Johnson, or is it Tom Johnson? Keep that in mind. Just that little thing alone is going to help people remember you. Second thing now that I learned. I remember going to this group for about a year, and at the end I was helping put the chairs back where they belong, because we would put the tables and chairs in a big circle. And the leader of the group, a very wise man, somebody who I respect, probably a couple years older than me, he would say to me, George, can I talk to you about something? I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. And he said, when you introduce yourself, now remember this is about a year or two after I was divorced. He says, you always say that you're divorced. That's like part of your pitch, part of your introduction. I'm divorced, I'm in the such and such industry. And I was almost introducing myself like it was a support group or a 12-step group or something. And he says, when are you going to stop referring to yourself as a divorced guy? And wow, did that do something for me. That just like, it was as if I had a sign hanging around my neck that I put on my neck that said, divorced guy. People wouldn't know I'm divorced unless I said, I'm divorced. And he says, what? He didn't condemn me. And I love the way he taught me. He said, what if you didn't say that and just introduced yourself? I scratched my head. And I do have an itchy trigger finger. Or I did, I should say. I was more impulsive, much more impulsive back then. And I could have gotten offended. I could have told him to shove it up his... That's the kind of thing that where you could be offended. And I notice with my interactions with people on Twitter, some of the younger guys are more trigger happy and ready to jump down your throat, ready to start calling names, right? Like with political stuff, you get people just like right away just start calling names. When it comes to things about manhood and masculinity, you get people throwing out soy boy and pussy and all this kind of stuff like right away. That's too quick out of the gate. And I've learned to say things like, explain please. And that way they can make a fool all by themselves and prove it to the world. I don't have to do it, but I don't want to engage with anyone like that. But I used to be real quick. But this was one time where I just listened. I said, what do you mean? He says, you're divorced, your marriage broke up. Why does that need to be part of your story? That was part of your story. It's no longer part of your story. Why do you define yourself by something that happened to you as opposed to you making something happen? I said, thanks. I'm going to give that some thought. And from that night forward, I never, ever introduced myself as a divorced guy. Interesting, right? How can you apply that in your life? You identify yourself by things by design, not by default. You identify yourself by things that you have done, but not by things that happened to you or things that were done to you. That will make a really big difference. Other people might notice it, they might not, but it's going to make a big difference to you. And you'll feel better about yourself. And I'm not about feelings, you know that. I'm about facts. I'm about having a less emotional view and reaction to life. Think about that. How can you use that in your life as you are building your empire? Which you are doing. And thank you for those of you that responded that I'm one of your favorite content creators. I appreciate that. There's a handful of us that teach and guide and do so with humility and from a place of humility. And humility comes from knowing your weaknesses, not from being almighty, not from sitting on top of a mountain and being a guru and having people come to you for answers. Much of what I share with you comes from, or how can I put it, was born out of pain and making bad mistakes. And I want you to realize that. And now I can confidently but humbly share those things. I don't come from a point of arrogance at all. Let's get going here on the show. The Daybreak Show. But I don't have the courage. It doesn't work that way. You do it first, and then you get the courage. Many successful people were shitting themselves when they were beginning. They just never let you know it. You do it, then you get the courage. Whatever that thing is. The world is waiting for citizen heroes. Be one of them. Run to the chaos. And ask for strength on the way. Where can you eliminate the waste of effort, time, and money in your day-to-day? Break it down to the hour if you have to. Even 30-minute periods. Where are you wasting time, effort, and money? If you are not making money with it, stop it. From now on, you are no longer allowed to perform any action without a return, without some type of ROI, a return on your investment of time, money, or effort. CPA, cost per action. Measure everything with CPA. What is your cost per action? No CPA equals a WOT, waste of time. This applies to workouts, business tasks, and relationships. As I've heard Richard Cooper say, the juice is not worth the squeeze. By the way, I will be on Richard Cooper's show tonight at 9:30. I'll put a link for it down below. We're going to be talking about a lot. He's the father that you never had. I'm the grandfather that you never had. You're going to enjoy. I'll put a link for it. Tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time, I will be on the show called Entrepreneurs in Cars. I hope to see you there. It'll be live. More and faster is not the answer. Efficient and effective is. When I used to work in barbershops, I was never the guy that would stand behind the chair while my client's in the chair and look in the mirror and say, so what are we doing today? And you know that your barber or stylist does that to you. I was never that guy. I wheeled a stool in front of them, said, welcome, hello, how are you? Shake your hand. Thank you for coming in, I appreciate it. How can I help you today? Or how am I helping you today? And then I just listened. I still do that in the salon today. How can I help you today? And then listen. Just zip the mouth and listen. Listening can be a superpower. Never forget that. I remember one time in a salon, guests would come back for many reasons. Obviously, I like the way he does my hair. I like his mannerisms. One of the most common ones was, he's the one that listens to me. You know what the most common complaint about a barber or a hairdresser is? Most common, most frequent complaint is they cut my hair too short. That's the most frequent complaint about people that do hair. He or she cut my hair too short this time. You know what the most common violation is in barbershops and salons? Sanitation and cleanliness issues. Regarding this one special issue, you know the barbicide, the blue water in that tall jar where you put combs and where you sterilize things? The level of the barbicide is too low and not covering the combs. That's the most frequent violation. In my industry, the hair industry, cleanliness is next to godliness. If there's not cleanliness, you want to get out. The last thing you want to do is go to a barbershop or a salon where the conditions are gnarly. One of the first questions, I believe it is the first question on the barber and stylist, the hairdresser exam, the state exam is, why is there state licensure? And I'm not a fan of licensure. I want the state and the government out of everything, but I agree with this. Why is there state licensure? And it's a multiple choice question. The proper answer is this: to protect the public. Makes sense. Pursue excellence, not women. When you pursue excellence, excellent people want to be around you. That's for the men. She says, I can't do it tonight. I have to go home and feed the dogs. My favorite show is on tonight. I have a ballroom dancing lesson tonight. I need more notice. I'm not as spontaneous as you. I have plans, she says. Women make rules for weaker beta males. Women break rules for alpha, stronger men. Men, you can't negotiate genuine desire. A woman will size you up in 3 to 5 seconds. What you want is her natural response, an enthusiastic yes. What you don't want is excuses. If there's excuses of any type, move on. Next. You know what's happened to you. No begging, no convincing, no selling yourself. No. No, 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 no. That's manipulation. Has anyone seen the movie Can You Ever Forgive Me? It's getting a 98 out of 100 on the Rotten Tomatoes website. It looks good. But then again, when I saw the trailer, there's writers, books, typewriters, tweed, and fountain pens. And the set and wardrobe and lighting look really good. So if you've seen it, let me know down below. I think I want to go see that maybe this afternoon. Never trust anyone who doesn't like George Strait. A friend driving around sightseeing around Franklin, Tennessee, saw a dude on a riding lawnmower. His wife says, "Hey, wait, that looks like Alan Jackson." They slowed down in front of the house. It was Alan Jackson. They chatted. He said when he's not on tour, he likes to do things around the house. Years ago, when marijuana was the devil's weed, remember there were forward-thinking people who said, it'll be legal as soon as they can figure out a way to regulate and tax it. Everybody laughed. Boom. It's now legal. It's now regulated. And it's now taxed. They are vindicated. The people who were forward-thinking prophets, economic prophets, are vindicated. A good Christian woman being equally yoked with a believer woman, etc., etc., etc. Guys do not struggle any less because you have a good Christian woman. You don't struggle any less because you met her in church or a retreat or a Christian dating site. You will have the same kind of relationship issues, even if she's a pagan or an atheist. I've lost count of the men who I counseled on this issue. Pastors of churches are bogged down trying to counsel people who they were God's gift and God's will for each other, now creating hell for each other. We might need to rethink that. I'm not talking about reinterpreting Scripture, but we need to do something about this. Because honestly, some of the Christian women I've met treated me like shit. And some of the nicest women I've ever known never went to church in their life. Which leads me to one thing. Could the Christian women really, really be followers of Christ? Just something I've had to, true followers of Christ. Because there were times when I wasn't always acting like a follower of Christ. Something to think about. Subtract the sex, the sexual chemistry, the current level of attraction, and what do you have left? All of that's going to disappear or diminish eventually. So what remains? The person. Take your horniness out of the picture, take her horniness out of the picture. will you still want to be with that person? You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people who are around you. Let that sink in. And with that, that's the end of the Daybreak Show. I didn't get a chance to trim the beard yesterday. I'm going to be doing a beard trim, maybe outside, in the woods, under a tree or something like that. It's getting kind of bushy, and I want to be able to see my mouth again, line it up properly, and I'm itching like hell underneath because I haven't touched this in a week, just because I wanted to let this go. I haven't touched this in a week, but I haven't touched this in 2 weeks. So this is going to come down to what I would call a more executive looking beard today. So look for that later on. I can't wait to do that and show you how, as many guys are growing out their beards for November, I'm having a beard for the fall and winter, and then I'll redecide what I want to do come spring on March 20th. But I'll show you how to maintain a nice looking shorter beard. If that's something you're interested in, that'll be today. And tonight, don't forget, I'm going to be live on Entrepreneurs in Cars with my friend Richard Cooper at 9:30 Eastern Time. I'll put a link for it down below. It's always a good time when I chat with Richard. And I hope to see you then. And put some comments, like if you're watching it tonight and you have any questions. I don't think we're going to be just recording. I think it is going to be live, so there will be a Q&A, I think. I'm not totally sure. But don't be afraid to put questions in the comments section if it is just recorded and not a live presentation. All right, have a great day today. Go out and kill it. Did you work out yet this week? Here it is Wednesday. Did you pick up some heavy weight? Did you stress your body with resistance somehow, some way? Are you getting enough sleep? Getting enough sleep is your singular competitive advantage. That can help you create a superpower. It's not cool to say, oh, I can live on 5 hours of sleep at night. What do you need to do to get more sleep and a deeper sleep? You'll feel better. See you later. Bye.